sun is shining in the sky, hardly a cloud in sight, and we are going to have a fantastic race here today.
Drivers, start your engine!
Cause we want retribution. Yeah, we want retribution.
But coming to the green here, it's getting cleaned out real well. Pace cars off, kick some ass.
There's the green flag and we're underway.
Green, 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 green. Outside, still there at your door. Good job, man. Nice and solid. Good case stuff.
Three wide.
Here, Hawkins into the wall.
Oh, big trouble!
Crash in the back. Oh, there's a crash in the back.
Trouble.
Great job, doing awesome, buddy.
And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to race number 20 of the WRLA Pepsi Cup Series. It is the SKF 500. The stakes for tonight's race could not be any higher than what they are right now, because it is the penultimate points paying race of the 2025 season. It would be the penultimate race of the whole year, but of course, some stuff happened back in May. But nonetheless, the rest of the races are going on as scheduled, and this is our penultimate points-paying race of 2025. And ladies and gentlemen, it's getting absolutely wild here, to say the least. For those that were not here with us last week, it was a very thrilling race at the Ricky Raceway that saw a lot of different lead changes. Pretty much just about everybody led at least one lap. But by the end of it all, it was Rogel Dorn who managed to hold off a hard-charging Nathan Stapleton to win his second race of the season and pull himself from, I believe, 28th from the point standings up to 17th. And plus, for the first and probably what most likely would be the only time in WRLA history where two drivers will claim 5 bonus points for leading the most laps. Of course, Rogel Dorn managed to do it, and Nathan Stapleton managed to do it as well. So that will be the one and only time where more than one driver will claim the 5 bonus points for leading the most laps. And speaking of points, I know we talked about it earlier today during qualifying, but my goodness, when I say these points are getting it's getting wild in the points. When I say it's getting wild in points, I mean it. Here's exactly how that all is going to stack up coming into this race here at the Phoenix Raceway. Kyle Craven and Russell Blaze both separated by 1 point. By 1 point. Blaze has been absolutely shut out from the points lead all year this year. Today could be the day where we see Blaze go to the points lead as we scroll on to the next page. Of course, you saw Skylar Taylor, Terry Walker, and Zachary Fitzwater. Fitzy managed to pull himself back into the mix in some way or fashion to have some sort of mathematical shot at the championship, but you take a look at all these other point standings. There's Noah Clifton climbing pretty much up to 12th in the points. You saw Steidel there in the 14th position, sitting pretty steadily inside of the top 15. There's Nathan Stapleton, who's inside of the top 30, higher than 30th for the first time all year. And there's Wyatt Walker in the number 19, who started off the season hot, and unfortunately it's just been a downward spiral ever since the beginning of the year. And you look at Bonsignor, he's down here. Caleb Rose finds himself back where he started the year, towards the bottom of the point standings. Claire Phillips, there's Jerry Rose, Sebastian Vaughn, Aaron Abel, now dead last in the point standings with 214 points to his name. Well, qualifying, we had qualifying earlier today, ladies and gentlemen, and Man, the weather conditions were pretty inconsistent to say the least. You know, we had a bunch of cloud cover earlier today to kick things off. And then by the time all 42 cars got out on the racetrack, it was sunny. And then by the time we got to the final round, the cloud cover came back and the grip level went up. And by the end of the whole thing, it was Tanner Parton who managed to win the pole for this race, and he's going to lead the field to the green flag alongside Andrew Ramsey. A good day for qualifying for Vision Motorsports, first and third. So they're going to have themselves a pretty good field day early in this one. Nathan Stapleton starting in the 5th position. There's runner-up in points, Russell Blaze starting 6th, and our points leader, Kyle Craven, starting in the 10th position. That's good for Russell Blaze in the early going, obviously, because he's mathematically going to have the advantage. Say if the race were to end right now, he would leave with the points lead, that barring any bonus points being rewarded to either driver. This Travis Crampton, our Talladega winner, starting in the 13th position. Wyatt Walker, 30th in points, starting in 12th. There's Nia Steidel starting in the 25th spot. Remember, she comes into this race 14th. And Zachary Fitzwater. Do apologize for the mic issues, but Fitzy, who managed to pull himself back into the mix, he's starting pretty deep in the field, so he's got his work cut out for him. There's Emily Anderson, who I would have to believe is a long shot to win this championship. As of right now, coming into this race here at Phoenix, starting in the 36th spot. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see how this race is going to unfold for Emily Anderson. And there are your provisional starters, Ajax Fitzgerald and Ray Atikian in the number 45, starting in that 42nd position. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been one action-packed night here at the Phoenix Raceway, and it's going to be pretty interesting. It's the penultimate points-paying race of 2025, and this is going to be the tone setter going into Homestead. The track is clear. We're good to go. Drivers are in their cars. Pre-race ceremonies are just now wrapping up, so let's go trackside to get the command to fire these engines.
Driver, start your engine.
And there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Pace cars rolling off as the engines are fired up and the rest of these drivers roll off. 2 points paying races left, 1 after tonight. This race, this 156 lapper, is going to be the race that sets the tone going to Homestead next Saturday night. And this is our first race here in Phoenix since winter of 2020. So it's been about 5 years since WRLA competition has come here to Phoenix. Who's going to have the advantage? Who's going to come out on top overall? And what are the points going to look like after tonight? Pace car is off. Tanner Parton and Andrew Ramsey. They're going to lead the field to the green flag to get the penultimate points paying race underway from here at Phoenix. Parton with a really good jump to start things out. Is now, look at that whole outside line. It just faded way back, and Russell Blaze already in trouble, as he was one of those guys that just did not get off to a good start heading into the first corner, and he just dropped way back. Parton leads lap number 1, already 3 abreast all over this field, and I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some 4 wide. And you saw a lot of those guys, they took the dog leg heading down the front straightaway. That's going to be something to watch out for as this race progresses on. Do apologize for that ticker kind of glitching out there. But nonetheless, we're still green flag racing here very early on. Look at back over here, 4 wide. That's Josiah Munsell in the 26 through the middle. Actually, look at this. Look at this mess. Fitzy's trying to navigate his way through this. All while he's just trying to keep his car in one piece, because remember, he comes into this race top 5 in the point standings, and he is right in the middle of this hornet's nest. Man, this part of the pack looks so congested. A lot of it, of course, you just saw there. It has to do with all these guys just taking that dog leg, trying to get as wide of an entry as they possibly can, just try to shortcut the front stretch to try to get as many spots as they possibly can. And there's some pros and cons to that. Obviously, the pros are you gain a lot of spots. The cons are you enter in turn 1 with a much bigger head of steam than what you normally would. Say if you're than at any other straightaway, really, for that matter. Oh, crash! Perez upside down! There was another car. Oh, Caleb Rose collected. I believe Emily Anderson has got a little bit of damage to her car, but she managed to get by just barely unscathed. First caution of the night is out. And Tanner Parton leads them down. Look at the damage on the 17 of CG Halt. My goodness, he's just not had himself a good season, and this race adds insult to injury. Caleb Rose, who's had himself a good turnaround about halfway through the year. It's all just absolutely falling apart by the seams here at Phoenix. Josiah Munsell managed to stay out. He's the only car that stayed out. There's Alexander Rowe bringing it to pit road. He's going to be done for the evening. And already Halt and Braden Perez, those two drivers are done for the night here at the Phoenix Raceway. And oh, how about this strategy right here? Might have been a little splash and go there for Tanner Parton. He's going to win the race off pit road. And how about this? Russell Blaze coming out second. Crampton comes out third. Then it's Marsh fourth. Looks like it might be Skylar Taylor who came out fifth. Then it's Andrew Ramsey who came out sixth. Then seventh would be Ryan Little. Eighth, Quentin Moore. Terry Walker would come out ninth. And coming out 10th in line, that would be the 9 of Reagan Whitlock. But our first caution of the night is out here at the Phoenix Raceway. Let's go back and review what happened to Perez and others that brought out that first caution of the evening here at Phoenix. It happens on lap number 5. And I would definitely not put it past anybody if it had to do with the 4 wide situation that all these drivers were putting themselves in. And indeed, that is the case. We're going to follow along with CG Halt. Looks like Halt just gets into the right rear of Quentin Moore and sends him up into Braden Perez. Backs it into the wall. Look at the air time that 88 just got. Same for the 34. That was the car I just saw up, the second car that ended up going up into the air. But that is a wild ride there for Braden Perez, and Caleb Rose, of course, with nowhere to go. Emily Anderson, of course, she definitely had some involvement in this one, but I don't see a terrible amount of damage on the number 4, so she should be okay to continue on. But I'd have to keep an eye on that damage on the number 4 of Anderson. What a wild ride, and what a wild start here for the 88 of Braden Perez, to this race, really. Man, just almost 3 cars went up into the air. Obviously, CG Hall, the back end of his car got lifted up off the ground. But that was a wild ride for CG Hall, Alexander Rowe, and Braden Perez. All 3 of those drivers are going to be done for the evening here at Phoenix. Quentin Moore, I believe, yes, his day is going to be over. The Durrani Racing entry is going to be out of it here for tonight. But man, what a way to start. What a way to start things off here at the Phoenix Raceway, as we're going to be back on a live action. And already, I wouldn't put it past Caleb Rose if he ended up retiring from the race. But just absolutely, what a wild start here to the SKF 500 here at the Phoenix Raceway. See if we're going to get one to go this time by. And looks like lights are still going to be on the pace car. Quentin Moore has now taken his car behind the wall. Ray Atikian. Actually, yep, Caleb Rose is now out of this one. Ray Atikian looks like he's had a little bit of damage to his car, or either that, and he might have some sort of mechanical issue. So he's having some extensive time on pit road. But what a way to start things off here at the Phoenix Raceway. Emily Anderson, whom is mathematically a long shot for the championship, got involved in this one. Not too much damage on the Ford machine, so she should be 100% okay. But how about this, though? Our Daytona 500 winner from 2020, our 2020 Daytona 500 winner, Josiah Munsell, leading the charge. Then running in the second position, that would be Tanner Parton, Russell Blaze third. Then Travis Crampton in the fourth position. Then rounding out your top five, that'd be Campbell Marsh. Then in sixth, that is Skylar Taylor, Andrew Ramsey in seventh. Then in eighth is Ryan Little, Nathan Stapleton ninth, and Terry Walker rounds out your top 10. Remember, Skylar Taylor comes into this race third in the point standings. And right now, our Las Vegas winner doing a pretty nice job early in the going. Just remember, I would believe a vast majority of these drivers managed only pitted for fuel, just to top off on gas. That way they can go a good further on. If this race were to go green for a while. But this restart should be pretty interesting, and how long it's going to take them before the next caution comes out. Hopefully we don't have another one, but at least for a while. And hopefully we're able to get some good green flag racing in. We got about 5 laps. Let's see how much further we can get in this run. Pace car is off. Ray Atikian lines up on the inside. He's going to be 2 laps down, or still 1 lap down, actually. On the inside, green flag goes back in the air, and Blaze and Crampton got a heck of a jump on that restart. But I don't know what in the world happened with Josiah Munsell. It looks like he didn't get going whatsoever. And look at Blaze already making a run to the inside, getting 2 birds with 1 stone. He's going to go for the lead. This is exactly what Russell Blaze needs to do if he's going to have a better chance at grabbing that points lead away from Kyle Craven. You got to get that bonus point, which he doesn't get it on this lap, but he probably may get it on the next go around. But this is what Blaze has to do if he wants a better chance at nabbing that points lead. Get out front, try to lead this lap so we can get that bonus point for leading a lap. This would be absolutely huge if Blaze is able to do this. He gets the lap led, so that's 1 bonus point for Russell Blaze. And right now, at this current moment, if points were accumulative, right now, Blaze and Craven would be tied for the points lead. If that 1 point went towards, if that 1 point was accumulative and added on, then Blaze would be tied with Craven for the points lead. But right now, he leads the way here at Phoenix. Munsell and Crampton right there, second and third. Look at Nathan Stapleton. Oh, Skylar Taylor got a little bit sideways there. Great save by the 41. And we stay green. There's points leader Kyle Craven all over the back bumper of this 41 of Taylor. Gonna try to duck his way to the inside of Skylar, heading into turn number 1, now through turn 2. Give that number 9 position to the 28 of Kyle Craven. Our winner from Minnesota, trying to maintain this points lead heading into Homestead. And right now, early in this one, Craven is picking them off one by one. Now going to work on Ramsey. So although it is good news that Russell Blaze was able to lead a lap and essentially tie for that points lead, the bad news is that Kyle Craven is picking off, is obviously gaining positions one by one. He's being pretty patient here and just picking and choosing his opportunities wherever they come. And right now, Craven just sitting in that 9th spot, just being pretty patient. He's going to now get to the inside of the 07 of Parton. This would be the fight for the 8th position right here. And Craven looks like he's going to get it at the stripe. And he does, just barely over Tanner Parton. There's Wyatt Walker in the 19. Remember, Walker is another one of those drivers that is in need of a really good, strong finish in points. He just wants to basically end off this season on a high note because, remember, as I mentioned, Wyatt started off the season great. He had a really good start off to 2025, and then unfortunately, it was just a spiral downhill for Walker in this 19 team, because now coming into the second to last points paying race of 2025, he now finds himself 30th in the point standings as of right now. Think of the stories it would be if Wyatt Walker is able to get his first Pepsi Cup Series win. Remember last year when he drove in the NRLA McDonald's Cup Series, he managed to score his first career win in the McDonald's Cup Series in the final race of the season. His then teammate at the time, John Andrews, went on to win the championship by a very dominating 99, well over 100 points over, I believe it might have been Edson Hernandez, if I remember correctly. 3 wide up here. That's Terry Walker in the 48, making way there for Nathan Stapleton. And I believe Terry Walker knows, bigger picture right here, we got to keep this car in one piece. He lets Stapleton go. So moves Stapleton up to that 7th position. Now he's going to work on Ryan Little for 6th, as Kyle Craven has now cracked the top 5, now getting by Ramsey for 4th. And now his pops are going to go to work here on Travis Crampton if he's able to get by Ramsey. But a potential dark horse for this one being Nathan Stapleton here in this 98. He is absolutely putting on a clinic here. Just absolutely all over the back bumper of this number 28. I mean, it is possible that we could see Stapleton win here tonight. I mean, there's been multiple occasions at this juncture of the season where Stapleton has just had many top 5s and top 10s. And then, of course, last week, he finished 2nd to eventual race winner Rogel Dorn. But we know Stapleton is very capable of winning. It has been 5 years since Stapleton has went to WRLA at Victory Lane. We're really hoping to see Stapleton pull this one off. There's a lot of drivers that I personally would love to see win this race. I mean, obviously Stapleton's won. I really hope that Wyatt's able to do it. I hope Terry's able to pull it off. But realistically speaking, there can only be one driver that can go to Victory Lane here tonight. And Stapleton, amongst others, are hoping that they can be one of them. That they can be the one to go to Victory Lane, that is. How about this? The father-son duo, Wyatt and Terry Walker, currently nose to tail. Son Wyatt trying to work on the back and work all over Ryan Little. Now possibly going to try to get a position here on Travis Crampton if he's able to make this work. Heading down into turn 3. Crampton trapped up on the outside. And it looks like Wyatt's he's going to be able to get down to the inside here. And pass for the lead is on. Look at this. Here comes Josiah Munsell to the inside. And Kyle Craven already down on the inside of the 69 of Blaze. Into 3. Blaze in trouble up there on that outside line. And now he's going to lose the lead to Munsell, but Kyle Craven not done there. He's going to try to make it 3 wide heading into the first corner. Here comes Kyle Craven in the number 28 machine for the race lead on Josiah Munsell down the backstretch into the turn 3. And it looks like he just might get it coming off of turn number 4. New race leader, it's Kyle Craven in the 28 machine. That is bad news for Blaze because now that breaks the tie. It breaks that tie that both he and Craven have on one another. Just gotta move my chair just a little bit here, get a little bit more comfy. Ramsey to the inside. That's gonna be the battle for the second position. Ramsey looking pretty good here in the 1/5 mark here of this race. How about Ryan Little? Now down to the inside of Munsell. I'm having brain farts left and right. They also got Stapleton staring on the back bumper of Ryan Little's machine. And Blaze hasn't fallen too far outside of the top. Hasn't fallen out of the top 10 just yet. But he did fall out of the top 5, of course. And now he's got Wyatt Walker and Terry Walker all over his rear view mirror. Look up a little bit further back. You got Rogel Dorn being contested by the 61 of Travis Crampton. Crampton looking pretty strong here in this event. About 1/5 of the way through. 30 laps complete. Here's Joshua Cornish in the number 89. Here's a little fun fact. The last time we raced here in the winter of 2020, your race winner was Joshua Cornish, who managed to get by Eric Scott, who ran out of fuel coming to the white flag and ducked his car to pit road, therefore opening the door for Joshua Cornish to go to victory lane. Of course, you can find that race pretty easily on the WRLA YouTube channel. Just type in 2020 WRLA NOS Energy Cup Series. I believe it's race number 2 you'll want to look at. Here's Craven working his way to the inside of Vatikian. Put him 1 lap down. Abby Walker looks to be 1 lap down as well. I have to believe that she probably might have been in the pits for just a little bit too long. So that's probably why she is a single lap down. But Craven now has a clear racetrack ahead of him. He's got all that clean air that he wants and needs if he wants to stay out front. And Craven doing a pretty nice job right where he is at the moment. And there's Ramsey trying to search for his second Pepsi Cup Series win. He won 5 years ago at Pocono, stole the lead away from Betty Johnson coming to the white flag, and did not look back from there. And here we are, just 5 years later, currently contesting for that top position, or at least riding in that second position, as there's Ryan Little up to 3rd, and we have Nathan Stapleton in that 4th spot, stalking the back bumper of Ryan Little's car. And then, of course, back here, we got father and son going at it. It's Terry and Wyatt. The Walker and Walker show. That's the battle for the 6th position between the two. And it looks like Terry is going to have the advantage heading into turn 1, at least upon entry, but there's Wyatt using the bottom to his advantage. And I would believe here, Terry holding on just with a good enough corner exit. Yeah, Terry holding on, coming off of turn number 4, but it's going to be Wyatt who's going to get that 6th spot. Advantage, Wyatt Walker. You also have Rogel Dorn in that mix, and same for Russell Blaze. He's not too far outside of the top 10. And Noah Clifton in that 99, fighting Joshua Cornish to get inside of the top 10 here in this one. 37 laps complete here in the SKF 500 here at Phoenix. Just for those that are just now tuning in, we've only had one caution on lap number 5, and it took out several contenders, a few of them out of the race, 5 out of the race, that being Quentin Moore, Alexander Rowe, you see them there, Caleb Rose, Brandon Perez, and CG Holt. Ray Atikian and also Abby Walker are both 1 lap down, and Emily Anderson, who was involved in that crash, is able to continue, but however, she has the damage on her car is moderate enough to where she is not able to keep pace with the rest of the pack that's just now 10 seconds ahead of her. So I would expect her to be a potential issue when it comes to lap traffic as this race progresses on. If we stay green for if we stay green for a while, then I would definitely see Emily Anderson being a potential issue for these drivers to get around. Right now it's 4 cars wrapped under a blanket here for the top spot, 1st through 4th, and then it's about 1.2 seconds back till you get back to 5th position, and Josiah Munsell being challenged by a Wyatt Walker for the 5th position, and it looks like Walker's going to at least get it down the back straightaway. He edges ahead, and now heading into that 3rd corner. The advantage might come back to Josiah Munsell here because he's going to have that good corner exit off of turn number 4. Wyatt's going to take that dog leg. Just cut that front stretch in half, and you can give that number 5 position to Wyatt Walker officially as he clears the 26. Looks like Rogel Dorn's going to try to go after Terry Walker for the 7th position. Looks like Terry's going to retain that across the stripe, but heading into turn 1, I definitely say the advantage is going to go over to Rogel Dorn here in this number 86 machine as they come off of 2 down the back straightaway this time by. Advantage Rogel Dorn there on corner entry into 3. Take a look up at the front of the field. This battle for the race lead, there's a potential that this could heat up. But so far, all these other cars are just currently nose to tail right now. Not Ramsey hasn't even made a move yet. Not even Little or Stapleton have done anything to pull out and try to make some pass happen. So to be quite honest with you, this is kind of interesting. This is a very interesting challenge or position that we're kind of seeing right here, because obviously we got these we got the front 4. Oh, look at this. Ramsey kind of just messed up the entry going into turn 3, and that opens up the door for Ryan Little to get to the inside. This will be the battle for 2nd as they head into turn 1. And Ray Atikian there in that number 45, of course, right in the path of Wyatt Walker, who's trying to catch up to the front 4, try to pick up a position there, but Walker goes up to the middle of the racetrack, and here comes Terry Walker in that number 48. Right there on the back bumper of Wyatt's car. Heading into turn number 2 this time. Look at this fight going on over here. That's Russell Blaze being challenged by Joshua Cornish for the 10th, for the 9th position, actually. And how about this? Look at Nia Steidl in the number 6 machine. Remember, she started 25th in this race, and now she's challenging to get inside of the top 10 here. Steidl has 2 wins here in the WRLA, both of which came at Martinsville and at Nazareth back-to-back. Made a lot of history here within a short period of time, and now is trying to look for win number 3 on the WRLA Pepsi Cup circuit. It very well could come here tonight. Three wide over here as Wyatt finally manages to get by Ray Atiki, and Terry Walker in the middle of this one. Looks like Rogel Dorn decided to back off and let Terry have it, at least for the moment. Here's Val Moscow showing up inside of the top 10 for the first time here tonight. 50 laps complete. We're now officially 1/3 of the way through, or at least close to 1/3 of the way through the SKF 500 here at Phoenix. And here we go. Pit stops taking place. Looks like Wyatt's going to be the first one to come down. And oh boy, I thought we were going to see some drivers hit the barrels there on the end of that pit wall, but thankfully that's not the case. Actually, Reagan Whitlock, I believe, might have been the first one on pit road, so she is down and away. Tanner Parton is in, actually. And I believe we have more takers. Our race leaders are now officially in. Cornish stays out, as does Roberto Crown Jr. Alex Bonsignor stays out. Wayne Lopez getting done with his service, so he is now down and away. Same goes for Fitzwater. Noah Clifton done. He's down and away. Wyatt Walker, he's now rejoining the racing surface. Cornish is now in along with Crown and Bonsignor, as Josiah Munsell stays out for yet another lap. I believe Munsell might have already made his pit stop. Might have. Here's the 2 key words that I'm currently using at this particular moment. So the race lead more than likely is going to go back into the hands. It might go back into the hands of Kyle Craven, which more than likely is going to be the case here, as he's pretty far out ahead of Andrew Ramsey, and there might be a chance Wyatt Walker is going to be in the 2nd position here once we're done with this first round of green flag stops. That more than likely is going to be the case here, as Craven is being shown in 4th and Walker is being shown in 5th at this particular moment. So now as this first round of green flag pit stops wrap up, your top 10 officially is going to look as follows. Actually, Munsell continuing to stay out. Wait a minute. Munsell actually has a almost 6-second lead over Kyle Craven right now. I'm still thinking he stayed out. I don't think anything right now is currently adding up here, because I believe Munsell might have stayed out for he might be staying out for an extended period of time, maybe to try to stretch the fuel mileage potentially. I'm not 100% sure what's happening here, but I would believe Munsell is just trying something out, trying to see how far he can go on that 1 tank of fuel. Coming around through turn 2. He's still out on the racetrack. And meanwhile, everybody else is still catching him. Little by little, at least by 0.2 at a time, 0.2 a lap. With now 56 laps complete here in Phoenix. Yeah, I'm strongly believing that Munsell definitely stayed out here. So your top 10 as of right now looks as follows here, unless if Munsell comes to pit road. It would be Josiah Munsell, who currently leads the way. Then running in second, that would be Kyle Craven, who is currently trying to hold off Wyatt Walker here. He's in third. Then in fourth would be the 67 of Andrew Ramsey. Rounding out your top 5, that is Ryan Little. Nia Steidel in the 6th spot. Then Nathan Stapleton in 7th. Then running in 8th, that would be the 99 of Noah Clifton. Val Moscow in 9th. And Joshua Cornish rounds out your top 10 with now 58 laps complete here in Phoenix. The gap has now shrunk to 4.8 seconds between Craven and Munsell. Well, this is absolutely masterful of what we're seeing here from Josiah Munsell, because if this race were to come down to fuel mileage, I think he might be in the best seat if he's able to keep this strategy going for future green flag pit stops. This is actually kind of masterful, if anything. This is very, very freaking masterful. Meanwhile, back here, we got a challenge for 6th going on here. Nathan Stapleton looks like he had the nose peaked down low on Nia Steidel. But it looks like Steidel got the pretty good run off of 2 and down the back straightaway that last go-around. But now heading into turn 1, Noah Clifton and Nathan Stapleton now go after each other here for the 7th spot. Stapleton has it, Clifton wants it. That gap continuing to shrink between Munsell and Craven. But this is absolutely just bonkers here of what we're seeing. As now these cars are trying to get by Emily Anderson. They're going to get by with no problems whatsoever. As there's Ajax Fitzgerald there in that number 92. Fitzgerald currently is 1 lap down. And now Emily Anderson is being shown a 1 lap down. But what a strategy that we're seeing out of Josiah Munsell, as now that lead is still going to continue to shrink, of course. It now is going to go from 4.01 seconds now down to under that 3.7 seconds. So a little over a quarter of a second has just been picked up here. He's gaining by a quarter of a second, Craven is. Just a little bit more at a time. So now let's go ahead and take a look further throughout the field. There's Val Moscow, Roberto Crown Jr. Crown, our winner from Michigan, currently sitting in that 11th position here as they head down into turn 1, just outside of the top 10, behind his own teammate in one of his cars. That'd be Val Moscow. And the number 33 looks like Moscow has a little bit of just a baby amount of damage, a small amount of damage on his machine, just a small buckle on the hood, but it doesn't look like it's affecting anything aerodynamically, so it looks like he should be good to go. Meanwhile, up front, or at least further up in the front, Ramsey's going to finally get by Emily Anderson. Munsell still leading the charge, at least for as long as he possibly can, as that lead continues to shrink 0.2 a lap. At least that's what it's looking like, 0.2 a lap. But I still think it's pretty impressive that Munsell, whether if he's staying out or already pitted, he's holding on to this lead for a hefty amount of time and stayed out as far out ahead for a hefty amount of time as he did. Here's Sebastian Vaughn in the number 54. Vaughn has not had himself a good season at all, but trying to look to end this year off strong. He is coming back in 2026. He and Jordan Sumner from Moonstar Racing Enterprises, they're coming back next year. And they're hoping, at least Vaughn is hoping, that 2026 treats him a lot better. So very much looking forward to that one, to that year coming up. Claire Phillips will be returning next year. She's currently sitting in the 13th position, as now Crown was able to get by his own car of Moscow, so put Crown inside of the top 10 here for tonight. Closing in on the halfway mark of the SKF 500 here at Phoenix. Now, one thing to point out, coming into this thing, of course, I mean, you had Craven and Blaze. They were both separated by 1 point. Blaze led a lap to get the bonus point. That would have tied both of them. And then Craven finally led a lap. So now that tie is broken and they're back to being separated by 1 point. Right now, Craven is shown in second. Russell Blaze has fallen back to 21st position in the number 69 machine. So what was a really good start early on in the going has turned out to be pretty sour coming to the conclusion of the first half of this race here in Phoenix. And that is definitely not what Russell Blaze wants to see whatsoever, because obviously that would mean that, I mean, the gap would... He would pull away a little bit, of course. I mean, Craven would. But nonetheless, it is going to be a very interesting, very, very interesting, second half of this race coming up, that is. I mean, it's going to be pretty interesting to see what the strategies are going to look like when we get to our second round of green flag stops. That is only if we do get to that point. Only if we get to that point. That gap has now shrunk to 1.5 seconds now between, not Blaze, but Munsell and Craven. Still sitting in that second position, that being the 19, or the third position, that being Wyatt Walker. Wyatt's having himself a pretty good showing here in this race. This is a run that he definitely has been absolutely craving all year. And right now, he is currently getting it here in Phoenix. And closing in on the halfway mark here at the Phoenix Raceway for our 20th race of the year and our penultimate points-paying race of the season here for the 2025 WRLA Pepsi Cup Series season. For those of you who are just now tuning in, we had our crash on lap number 5 that took out several contenders. There you see him right there. Moore, Rowe, Caleb Rose, Braden Perez, and CG Halt. Several of them are currently 1 lap down, that being Ray Atikian here in the number 26. Look, he's probably going to go 2 laps down here in shortly. Then it's Emily Anderson, Abby Walker, and Ajax Fitzgerald that are currently all 1 lap down right now. 1 second. 1 second between the 26 and as well as the 28. And that gap is getting ever so smaller. It's continuing to, obviously that gap is continuing to shrink, because now you can see the 28 in frame right here, 0.8 of a second. Almost down to 3/4 of a second. And now it's going to be 3/4 of a second this time by. Actually, it's going to be 3/4 of a second. Now 6.9 seconds between Munsell and Craven. We're going to keep our eyes on this one because Craven is absolutely running down. Absolutely running down Josiah Munsell. Right now, Wyatt Walker's still sitting in that third position. He's losing a little bit of ground to Kyle Craven, but still sitting inside of that top 5 and currently is out ahead by 1.3 seconds over Andrew Ramsey. And for those that are tuning in, and if you've been invested in this points battle between Kyle Craven and Russell Blaze, obviously you can see where Craven is at, currently in second. It looks like he's going to go for that race lead here on the 26th of Josiah Munsell pretty shortly, which we're going to keep our eyes on this. But if you're wondering where Russell Blaze is at, well, he currently is sitting in the 22nd position. That is after our first round of green flag pit stops. So things not looking too good here for Blaze as we have just now started the second half of the SKF 500 here at Phoenix. 5 laps in, that is, this time. Craven all over the back bumper of Josiah Munsell. Trying to figure out exactly where he wants to make his move. Craven has the car to literally just drive right by this number 26, but planning the move, that's going to be a little bit of a different story. Now it's 3 cars now wrapped under a blanket, plus Ajax Fitzgerald. Oh, look at Wyatt. He made a little bit of a mistake there heading into turn 3. Goes up the middle of the racetrack, and now here comes Ajax Fitzgerald to try to get by Wyatt Walker to get one step closer to getting back on the lead lap. And while all that's happening, fourth on back is starting to close in on the top 3 right now. And it's all going to get pretty interesting here, and you will not miss a thing. I'm going to actually go pick up something, and we're going to keep our eyes here on this race lead here, so stay tuned. You're watching WRLA Pepsi Cup Series Racing from Phoenix. Pass for the lead is on, actually. Hold up, we're going to actually call this. Pass for the lead is on. And Kyle Craven makes it look absolutely easy as he drives right by Josiah Munsell to take the lead here in Phoenix. We'll be right back. We're back as Kyle Craven leads the way here at Phoenix. I would have to assume that Josiah Munsell made his pit stop here pretty early. So now he's back out on the racetrack at the tail end of the field and is going to be one lap down in that 36th position. But Craven, because of this, looks like he has opened up a pretty sizable lead over Wyatt Walker, who is trying to fend off Andrew Ramsey here for second. Looks like Nia Steidl has moved up into the 5th position in that number 6 machine, just tailing the back bumper of the number 27 of Ryan Little. And now look at this. I thought for a minute Steidl was going to have a run around the outside of the 27, but that appears to not be the case whatsoever. But it looks like Little is trying to do everything he can to get by the 67 of Andrew Ramsey. He just almost had his left sides, almost put his whole entire car below the yellow line to get by the 67 of Ramsey. And remember, there is no out of bounds. When I say go under the yellow line, it's only places like Daytona and Talladega, for instance, even Atlanta, if you want to count Atlanta as a super speedway, and others that have that out of bounds rule. At tracks like Phoenix or Las Vegas, there's no such thing as out of bounds. What's that? Pit stops are now underway officially as Kyle Craven comes down with Wyatt Walker, Andrew Ramsey, Valkyrie Atikian is down and away in that number 23. Atikian is not returning to Trinity River Racing after this season. There's Tanner Parton. Parton is now down and away. There's Zachary Taylor in the 85. He didn't spend. Last week was not a really good. Last week was not really a good one there for Zachary Taylor. To make matters worse, it was all on his birthday as well. So he didn't receive a pretty good birthday present at Ricky. There's Steidl. Steidl is now in. Looks like she's going to get that 4-tire service and will be down and away here pretty shortly. Ryan Little is now in, followed by Cornish. I believe Cornish might have stayed out, actually, in the number 89. Looks like that is the case. He stays out along with Roberto Crown Jr. Emily Anderson now down and away. Bonsignor still in 3rd. Looks like he's going to surrender the 3rd spot to come to pit road. Very close call there between Anderson and Bonsignor. Looks like Bonsignor looks like he was going to try to get to pit road, but Anderson just took it downstairs while Bonsignor was slowing down to try to get to the pits, and that could have caused a freak accident between the two, but thankfully that didn't happen, and we stay green, and Bonsignor surrenders the lead to come to pit road. So officially, it looks like Munsell is going to come back to the race lead. After all of that, Josiah Munsell is going to keep the lead over Kyle Craven. What in the world is this strategy? What is this strategy that Munsell has put himself in? He is managing to stay out ahead of Kyle Craven when it comes to pit strat. That is absolutely wild. I have never really seen anything like this happen in WRLA competition before. But now the gap is 5.1 seconds, and Kyle Craven, boy, I believe I would believe him if I'd believe that he'd be frustrated right now, because now all that work that he just made, all that work he put into trying to catch Munsell, well, he's going to have to start over. 99 laps complete. We're on the 100 lap mark, coming to 56 laps of racing to go here at the Phoenix Raceway. And Josiah Munsell looking like he's playing spoiler here in this race. He manages to stay out ahead of the 28 of Kyle Craven. Wyatt Walker 3 seconds back from Craven. He currently is third at this particular moment. Your top 10 really is going to look like this. After this round of green flag pit stops, after this second round of green flag pit stops is officially completed, it is Josiah Munsell who continues to lead the charge, now just under 5 seconds ahead of Kyle Craven, who sits in second. Then Wyatt Walker third, Andrew Ramsey fourth, Val Moscow completes your top 5. Then it's Reagan Whitlock in the 6th position. Then in 7th is Nia Steidel. Noah Clifton is in 8th. Then in 9th is Wayne Lopez. And Roberto Crown Jr. rounds out the top 10, coming to complete 102 of the scheduled 156 laps here tonight. It is absolutely wild of what we're seeing here. Closing in on the later stages of this race here at Phoenix, and this more than likely is going to set the tone for Homestead. I mean, it is going to set the tone for Homestead, but the tone may look like Kyle Craven having himself obviously a much larger gap over Russell Blaze for this points lead. It's not, I don't think it's going to be 1 point. I think it might be a little bit more than that. It might be double digits, if anything. Right now, Russell Blaze, he currently, he gained a little bit. He actually picked up some spots, so he's currently sitting in the 13th position. Trying to fend off Terry Walker, one of the other drivers that he had to fight for the points lead with earlier on in the year. But right now, Blaze currently, I mean, obviously he has turned around a little bit, so he is coming back. He's currently 13th right now at this particular stage of the race. But I think he would have to have one more good stop if he's going to have any sort of chance at a top 10 or at least a good enough finish to try and, of course, to just try and keep that points gap between himself and Craven as small as he can possibly, as minimal as he possibly can, because he knows that if Craven picks up those 5 bonus points, Blaze, for the most part, would be in trouble. But this championship fight when we get to Homestead next week is going to be very, very interesting. Walker still about 2 seconds back from Kyle Craven. So that gap is now shrunk down to 3.5 seconds. Now it's going to be 3.2 seconds. 3 1/4 seconds between Munsell and Craven. Looks like Noah Clifton just picked up a position. He's now up to 7th over Nia Steidel. (108 laps complete. 48 of those are left to run. Let's take a look further in the back of the field. Here's where some of this action is currently brewing up. I mean, where it has brewed up. Steidel looking to take a peek to the inside of the 99 of Noah Clifton. Clifton won earlier this year at Atlanta back in September, which is one of the reasons why Clifton was able to, climb up to the 12th spot in the points standing. So Clifton looking to end off his season on a very high and strong note. Didn't start the season that way, but he managed to turn it around since then. And now he finds himself in a very good position to maybe... All right, we're back. Sorry about that. But Clifton, as I was mentioning before my mic decided to cut out, could very well find himself maybe finishing top 10 in points. So now that lead between Craven and Mansell is now down to by at least 2.5 seconds. The gap between Craven and Walker, that has gone, that's now 2.4 seconds at that. Gap still looking pretty much the same between Craven and Walker, but 2.1 seconds is the gap between Mansell and Kyle Craven, with Ray Atikian right here in between the two. Look at Wayne Lopez getting to the inside of Noah Clifton here for position. That is for 8th. As we take a look even further back in the field, here's Nathan Stapleton trying to get by Nicky Fox for position. I believe this is for the 16th position. That indeed is the case. Stapleton fell a little bit further back, but still holding on pretty strong as of right now. Another driver that's actually doing pretty well here is Alex Bonsignor. Currently 22nd at the particular moment, but he might lose some positions. He's got Aaron Abel all over the back bumper of his race machine. Abel's now climbed up to 23rd. Now I'm trying to go for 22nd on the 22 of Bonsignor. Rogel Dorn trying to break inside of the top 20. As of right now, Blaze still sitting in 13th. He's got there's a pretty big gap between Cornish and as well as the 69 of Blaze. But, I mean, we still have one more stop to go, and I think that's probably going to be the money stop, because that's going to determine who wins this race. Not only who wins this race, but also, of course, like what the point situation is going to look like leaving here tonight at Phoenix. Let's look back here. We got Steidl and Whitlock going at it. Steidl looking for the 6th position on Whitlock. And it looks like she is going to get it coming off of turn number 2. Look at it further in the back. Russell Blaze trying to fend off Terry Walker. That looks like that's for that 13th position still. Obviously still 13th, but Walker tried to take a peek down low on the 69, and that definitely was not going, that wasn't going to happen at all. Looking further up ahead, Roberto Crown Jr. getting to the inside of that number 99 of Clifton. That's for 9th. And up front, that gap has shrunk yet again. Now 3/4 of a second between Craven and Mansell. Probably going to be 2/3 of a second right here. And indeed it is. 2/3 of a second between Mansell and Craven. Almost 3 seconds is the gap between Craven and Wyatt Walker. But I don't think Wyatt would be complaining too much here, because he's currently sitting 3rd on the racetrack right now. So he's having himself a pretty good run here tonight. 36 laps of racing to go here at Phoenix. Man, this race blew by pretty quick. Oh my. It's pretty amazing of how we've only had one caution throughout this entire race. And it happened back on lap 5, ladies and gentlemen. Lap 5. That's absolutely just wild of how things have kind of just turned out. And here we go. Kyle Craven works his way to the inside of Mansell for the race lead yet again. But Mansell making it a little bit more difficult, trying to give Craven a run for his money. Almost dead even midway through 3 and 4, but give the race lead over to Kyle Craven, who leads it on lap 122. And clears him for the race lead. So Craven goes back to the point. Blaze still sitting in 13th as of right now, trying to fend off, I believe, Claire Phillips in that number 5. Which indeed that is going to be the case. At least momentarily. Stapleton up to 15th. How about Andrew Miller now working his way up inside of the top 20? Miller's been one of those guys that's been relatively quiet all year. He's had a few ups, he's had a few downs, but nonetheless, Andrew Miller, I believe, has had himself a pretty solid season here this year and looking to try to end it off here strong. Here tonight at Phoenix, and then hopefully by next week at Homestead, Miami. Now that gap is starting to grow again, but this time it's between Craven and as well as the 26 of Munsell. Craven now starting to check out from Munsell. Now by 3/4 of a second. Wyatt Walker trying to do everything he can to try to catch up to Munsell. So far the gap is 1.6 seconds or 1.6 seconds between the 26 and the 19. But the gap between Craven and Walker still remains the same. Walker now starting to gain just a little bit. He picked up 3/100ths of a second there, but unless if Munsell keeps going with this strategy, I really don't think Craven is going to win this race. I personally don't think Craven's going to win this race. I think if Munsell keeps going with this strategy of just pitting in early, very, very early, and getting out as far out ahead as he possibly can over everybody else, and I think he might have a shot to win this thing. But of course, remember those 5 bonus points, or at least the 10 bonus points for winning the race, they wouldn't go to the part-time driver, of course, because the part-time driver doesn't really earn any points. So they go to the highest placing full-time driver, that being Kyle Craven. So if that happens to be the case, then that is obviously not going to be good news for Russell Blaze, because then he would go into Homestead, obviously with such a big disadvantage. Maybe advantage when it comes to a home track field, but nonetheless, I don't really see anything else coming out of it. But the gap continues to grow by 1.4 seconds now, and here goes Munsell. Munsell brings it down pit road. He will be pitting on lap 130, 26 laps of racing to go this time by, as Craven's going to lead it at the stripe. So now he is the first one in. And this is actually, this is going to get very, very interesting. See what the strategies are actually going to look like here after this final round of green flag stops. Munsell, 4 tires on that number 26, and he's going to be down and away here very shortly. And Craven, not going to pit this time. I don't think he's going to pit early. I don't think anybody's really going to pit early. I don't think anybody's really going to pit early whatsoever. I think they might pit on their normal green flag cycles. But man, this is going to get very, very interesting. Walker starting to gain a little bit. He gained another 4 100ths or 4 1000ths there. No, yeah, 100ths. So remember, Munsell pitted on lap 130. And I think it's only a matter of time before all these other drivers eventually go on in and pit. Heading down into 3, or heading down into 1. Craven continues to stay out. Man, this is actually going to be very, very interesting to see what the outcome of this pit cycle is going to look like once it officially starts, because with Mansell pitting as early as he did, I think that's going to still give him the advantage that he's been looking for to at least try to grab the race lead. And that's probably what's going to grab him the win on top of that. "21 laps to go from here at Phoenix. Craven still leads the way. Walker gains another 4 100s there. If you're keeping up with the championship fight, Blaze has now picked up a spot. He's up to 12th. He's 1 spot closer to breaking inside of the top 10. But I think this points battle might just get a little bit tougher for Russell Blaze if he wants to make up the ground. But for Craven, it's going to get just a skosh bit easier. More than likely. And now here comes Kyle Craven. He's going to come on in. Wyatt's going to stay out. Ooh, this is going to be very interesting. Moscow pits in along with Russell Blaze. Blaze comes in next. Then it's Tanner Parton. The strategies are looking just a little bit more split up than what we've been seeing the last 2 rounds of green flag pit stops. Walker surrenders the lead. He comes in. As does Andrew Ramsey. Nia Steidl's going to stay out. She's going to pick up a bonus point. But Lopez and Clifton, Fox, Crampton. I see Skylar Taylor in. Valkyrie Atikin, Zachary Taylor, they're all in. Blaze looks like he's going to get his service done. Kyle Craven's going to be down and away. And meanwhile, the next group of cars in, well, Style is going to be in. Same for Sebastian Vaughn, Ryan Little, Terry Walker, and others. They're all coming in. That's going to give the lead over to Joshua Cornish in the number 89. Trying to catch up with Cornish, that is. There he is. So Cornish leads the way here in Phoenix. Coming to 16 laps of racing to go. Man, this is going to be pretty interesting to see what the strategy, what the field's going to look like after this round of green flag stops complete. Cornish staying out for a little bit of extensive time. Now Roberto Crown Jr. surrenders second to come to pit road. Now there's Mansell. Now this will be interesting to see where Mansell gets placed in relation to everyone else on the racetrack. Right now, 5th. And Kyle Craven. Yep, so at this point, I would definitely have to put Josiah Mansell's nameplate on the trophy because he might have just won himself yet another race here in Pepsi Cup Series competition. And it would be here at Phoenix. That is if and only if he's able to hold off a hard-charging Kyle Craven. So it looks like this round of green flag pit stops is going to complete as Bonsignor is going to make his way down pit road. So that should complete our final round of green flag pit stops here from Phoenix. Apologies there, had a little bit of a phlegm buildup. So now, as the field comes off of turn 4, as Mansell comes off of turn 4, he's going to grab the lead back, and from the looks of things, your top 10 will look like this. Mansell the leader, Craven second, 2.1 seconds back, so not as big of a gap there compared to the last 2 rounds of green flag stops. Then Wyatt Walker in third. Then in fourth is the number 67 of Andrew Ramsey. Wayne Lopez completes your top 5. Then it is Val Moscow in 6th. In 7th, that is Reagan Whitlock. Nia Steidel 8th. Then in 9th, that would be Sebastian Vaughn. And Noah Clifton rounds out your top 10, coming to 11 laps of racing to go from here at Phoenix. Craven knows he's got to run down Mansell at least one more time if he's going to have a shot at winning this thing. But he only has 11 laps to do this. So this is going to get even tougher. Russell Blaze, after this round of green flag pit stops, he gained another position. He is up to 11th, so just outside of the top 10 with 10 laps of racing to go from here in Phoenix. The gap now is 1.4 seconds between Mansell and Craven. It has been 5 years since Josiah Mansell went to victory lane in WRLA competition. The last time he did was in the 2020 Daytona 500. He won a duel earlier this year to get into the Great American Race, this year's Great American Race, but hasn't really won anything since then, at least when it comes to a points-paying race. Obviously, he's not earning points. He's a part-time driver, so realistically speaking, what does he have to lose even if he doesn't win this race? 8 laps to go. The gap now is down by 0.95 seconds. Well, at least that's the gap between the 26 and the 28. And Wyatt Walker still sitting in that 3rd spot. This is going to be a very good night here for Wyatt in the number 19 team. Here, leaving here tonight at Phoenix. He's probably going to put himself in a pretty good position. Maybe see if he can try to repeat history from last year in the McDonald's Cup Series. And maybe try to see if he can go for the win at Homestead, Miami next week. Maybe to potentially play spoiler when it comes to the championship fight. 6 laps to go. And Mansell has got company because Kyle Craven just ran him down. 0.4 of a second now between the two of them. It'll be 5 laps of racing to go this time by, and that gap more than likely is going to be down to at least 1/4 of a second, maybe a little bit less between the two. Craven just absolutely driving to the back bumper of the 26. With 5 to go, 0.2 is the difference between Craven and Mansell. And here we go, down the back straightaway. Is Craven going to make a peek down low into turn 3? So far, doesn't look like he's going to make that move work, at least momentarily. Maybe we might try to see if he'll take it downstairs. Heading into turn 1, which that's going to happen. Here goes Craven to the inside of Mansell. For the race lead, give that top spot over to Kyle Craven, coming to 3 laps to go. And now at this point, you're going to watch that number 28 just start to check out in the rear view mirror. We'll start to check out on the windshield of the 26. And if you're Mansell, you're just going to watch that 28 just get further and further and further away. coming to 2 laps of racing to go from here in Phoenix. It's pretty amazing of how we've only had 1 caution that happened on lap number 5. But we've been clean and green ever since then. But we've had some pretty good action, to say the least. I mean, you know, from here and there, I mean, we've had some good action, if I may say. But Homestead is going to be even bigger. Now knowing the stakes that we're going to be faced with, coming through turn 4, the white flag flies. 1 more lap to go for Kyle Craven. Craven, of course, came into the race as the points leader. 1 point over, by 1 point over Russell Blaze. They were eventually tied when Blaze led a lap. Then Craven broke the tie, and now that gap is going to be even bigger. Our Minnesota winner comes off of turn number 4. He's going to add a 2nd win to the season by winning here at Phoenix. Munsell comes home in 2nd. Then in 3rd will be Wyatt Walker. Great day for him. Andrew Ramsey will come home 4th, and it's Lopez completing the top 5. Then Val Mosco finishing in 6th. Then in 7th will be Nia Steidel. Finishing in 8th, Reagan Whitlock. 9th, Sebastian Vaughn. And Noah Clifton will complete your top 10. Blaze looks like he lost 2 positions, so he'll be finishing in the 13th position. Man. Bad news for Russell Blaze. That points gap is going to be growing by just a few points. And that, what is bad news for Blaze, is good news for Kyle Craven as he goes to victory lane for the 2nd time this year. He won in Minnesota back in August. And now here we are back in September. And now here we are just a little over a month and a half later. He goes to victory lane here at the Phoenix Raceway. This gives him all the momentum in the world heading into Homestead next week. This is what's going to set the tone for the championship fight between Craven and Blaze, and even Skylar Taylor, Zachary Fitzwater, Terry Walker, whoever else gets pulled into this championship fight at the Homestead Miami Speedway. You see the rest of your finishing results right there. Everybody else finished on the lead lap until you get on down to Ajax Fitzgerald, down to Ray Atikian. They all finished 1 lap down or more. And we only had those 5 retirees: Quentin Moore, Alexander Rowe, Caleb Rose, Brandon Perez, and CG Holt, who all went behind the wall on lap number 5. But what a night it has been here at the Phoenix Raceway. Big congratulations to Kyle Craven on getting the race win here at Phoenix. And that's going to give him a pretty good advantage heading into Homestead next Saturday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. You can catch all that action live here on Twitch for the championship race here in the WRLA Pepsi Cup Series season. It is going to be absolutely bonkers. And I'm actually going to go ahead and do the math between the two right now as we currently speak. Let's go ahead and actually get the results here exported, so that way we can have the results and take a look and see if Craven was able to pick up the 5 bonus points for leading the most laps. We're about to actually find that out ourselves. So if we do our math, if we actually do our math here correctly and actually take a look at our finishing results, in which you'll be able to see the points by the time that this premiere concludes, or by the time by the next morning. Of course, Craven would get the 40 traditional bonus points for leading, for at least for finishing in first place. And then, of course, 24 points for Russell Blaze. And then you add in the 11 bonus points that Craven was able to put in here. So he did not get the 5 bonus points for leading the most laps. But however, he does get the 1 bonus point for leading a lap and the 10 for winning the race. And then you throw in the 1 bonus point that Blaze was able to get. So that points gap between Craven and Blaze heading into Homestead Miami Speedway looks to be about, that is a 27-point difference. So that points gap between the two has grown by at least 26 points. So it's going to be a pretty hefty fight on the hands of, well, man, it's going to be a pretty hefty fight here for Russell Blaze if he's going to have a chance at the championship here at home at Homestead Miami next Saturday night. But what a day it has been here at Phoenix. Want to thank you guys a lot for watching here at the Phoenix Raceway for the WRLA Pepsi Cup Series. If you guys are watching this live on Twitch, be sure to hit the follow button so you don't miss a future stream. If you guys like this on YouTube, be sure to hit the like button. And if you haven't considered subscribing, I recommend you do so in order to keep up with some fine content coming out in the near future. And we'll be back next week at the Homestead Miami Speedway for the Ford EcoBoost 400. It'll be the championship race of the WRLA Pepsi Cup Series season, the final points paying race of 2025. The stage is set. Craven, Blaze, a 27-point difference. Will Craven be able to pull it off? Or will Russell Blaze pull off the upset and nab the 2025 championship away from Craven? Find all that action out next Saturday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at the Homestead Miami Speedway, live on Twitch. Have yourself a fantastic night, everybody. Day, morning, wherever you are in the world, depending on when you're watching this. And we'll catch you all next week for race 21 of the WRLA Pepsi Cup Series season, the final points paying race of 2025 at the Homestead Miami Speedway. Have a good one, y'all.